Right, let's see. Let's go into lab here, architecture lab 2208. I was going to take a look at week 2, 8.2. Yeah, this one. And what I realize is I don't think they're anything like this video. But so they're just kind of maybe related to it a little bit. So this one has PDF extra, explanation sheet and the drawing. So I've gone ahead and downloaded those and opened them up in CAD, and I've got my PDF open maybe here. Yeah. So this one, I'll just go through it. I haven't actually worked through this one, so I'll just do it live here. But we'll have a lot of these through the semester, or just like instructional sheets like this that you have to go through kind of step by step. And I think for some people they really like it. For some, it's a little more difficult. And so it's just it reminds me of a lot of how companies have like training modules, especially if they're companies that have outdated training models. Sometimes I think of that, but still, no, I think it's still valid that there's always maybe a written transcript training modules type. And so it's good. It's actually good practice to try to get your head wrapped around explaining order of operations through this format. So, so I've got this drawing open. What it says, we're going to create 2 new layers using an existing layer. Okay. And create a right view using object snaps and object snap tracking. Okay, so it's just kind of some drawing exercises more than anything, refreshers for some. Modify an existing view using the trim, oh yeah, fillet trim and hatch tools. Okay, so I've got that drawing file opened up in CAD. At least let me check that I do. Yep, there's the drawing files. It opens up to me. And so the first thing we're going to do is just create a new layer. So I'm looking at step 3 here for the section view. And so, yeah, looks like to me we're building the right side view. Yeah, so I've got kind of object and left side view. This is going to become a section view. Not officially, we're not going to do all the real things we'd have to do for it to become a section view, but they're calling this a section view. And we're going to have to actually create the right side view of this. And we're not going to do it like up to full orthographic projection. I think we're just going to kind of use some of our snap tracking on this. So I think I don't know what layers are all on this. We got model front, model, yeah. So I'm just checking out what layers this drawing comes with. Right now the grid's not on either. I always like to turn on this grid. So I'm not a big snap tracker or object or what not I'm not big about the grid tracking, but I like my grid on. So anyway, I was looking at the layers. So they've got what dimensions hatch model. We're going to apply some hatching here so we can be on that layer to do that. We've got a model detail, model front, model hidden. Let's see here, no print, reference, viewport. Everything's turned on too, so there's really no construction lines on this of how they constructed this. They're kind of independent views here, even the ones they've got shown. So anyway, it wants me to build a couple of layers there. So create a new layer for use. So it's got a model front view. I saw that layer on there. And it wants me to create a new one that's called model section. Okay, so then it tells me how to do that. Wants all the same properties as that model front layer. So it's really just a direct copy of that layer. And and then it kind of gives you a hint. Yeah, you could use that as your copied layer and then just give it a new name. So it's gonna have the same properties, I guess, as the model front. It's gonna be model section. And then we're gonna do another one. Repeat the same process to create a layer for the right view based off model front layer. So we can we're gonna make 2 copies of this. One's model section, and one's model right side. Okay. And we're really not changing the properties of them, just making copies of them. So first create the right view. Okay, so then it wants to start drawing. So let's do the layers next. So I'll make those layers. Model section, model right side. Okay, let's do it. So I'm going to come to my layers tab. Oh, yeah, not just pick layer, but I'm going to go to layer properties here. Layer properties. Let's go to the big. I usually expand this out quite a bit bigger. Everything's jammed in here. Get this in the middle of my screen. Oh no, where did I send it to? Oh, right there. Yeah, I just want it over here. This one I don't usually dock. Obviously, I don't usually move it much either. Okay, there we go. It wants us to, so yeah, these get kind of crammed in here. Is this kind of like, I think they're kind of like an Excel spreadsheet. If you come to the end like this, double click on them, you can expand them to their full name. If that helps you. What is that? Oh, whether it's freeze. Anyway, this I like dealing with this like this. So it wants me to make a copy. Whatever one you're highlighted on, if you hit copy, that's one of these buttons up here, right? Is there a copy layer here or something? Set current layer, create new layer. Oh, if you just go into create new layer, whatever one you've highlighted, it's going to create a copy of that one. So they're giving you a little hint here. If I go to model, because I don't have a model section or model right side view, but I have a model front, which is actually the one that's active with the green check, right? But I'm going to select it like this and then, and not into it necessarily like that. Oh, sorry. I don't want to turn anything off. Oh, let me turn it back on. I just want to be highlighted. And then when I hit create new layer, I think it drops it right below where you were highlighted. And it has all of the attributes of that one that you just came from. So that's good. This is going to be model section like that. Okay, cool. And then we needed one called model right side, whatever, right side view, right side. What are they going to say? Just model right side. Okay. Model front. Again, I could make a copy of model section too. It wouldn't matter because they're both pretty much identical, other than they are different layers now. Same colors. It would be hard to tell which layer they're on, but okay, let's see here. Let's make a copy of, I'll just go back to this one, create a new layer. This one's model right side. Sure. Model right side. Okay. I think that's all we needed to do for that first part. I think we're ready to draw on that. So I'm just going to go ahead and close my layers properties panel, and I should have those layers now. Yep, model right side, model section. I think we're going to draw on the model right side first. I think if I go to the instruction sheet, uh, yep, step 5 here. Let's create the right side view. Make sure you're on the model. Yep, yep. And ortho mode is turned on. Okay. They just want you to be able to lock in what we'd call orthographic projection style here. Let's not, they want to keep the right side view aligned with the front view, so the height here is going to match. So there's some tracking I can use to do that. Enable the so we're going to draw it with a polyline command. Okay. Place the first point in. This is where these instructions get a bit wordy for me, but anyway, it's good. Place the first point in line with the bottom right corner of the front view. Place the second point in line with the top right corner of the front view. Okay. Place the next 2.2 inches to the right. I think this is a fairly large object, actually. I'm just reading through this real quick. I'm gonna just pause this for just a minute. I'll read through this. This is kind of an interesting way of get. I should have worked through it beforehand, maybe, but let me just give me just a minute. Right. Hey, I just had to stop and read that because it is kind of confusing. So I'm pretty sure I understand now. It's kind of using some of the command line stuff for polylines. So oh yeah, I've already created. Let me recreate it here. Good. Okay, so if I'm reading through this, I'm just going to kind of follow it kind of as it says here. It's just a little, I mean, these don't seem like super clear, but yeah, what we're gonna do is place the first point of the line, bottom right corner. So I want to kind of make sure I'm tracking over and in alignment with this. And I'm gonna press a point, and then I'm gonna draw up to be in line with the top right corner of the front view. So I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna track polar use snap tracking, lock in on this, and so that this overall length is the same as this length here. And then I'm going to go over 2 inches, it says to the right, over 2 inches. And then I'm going to place the fourth pointer. I'm going to draw down essentially to where I am at the same height as the curve in the front view. So I'm just going to, that's what this is. This is, when it comes to orthographic projection, you don't always put um, an object line where these radiuses are just tangent. You would have this one because of this long flat surface that would be up here as a line in the front view. But you don't necessarily get a hard line here. But however, it is handy to have it here because I'm going to use it to kind of know where my arc starts and stops. And then I'm going to jump from a line command within a polyline to an arc command. And I'm going to place an arc 3 inches to the right, like the center of the arc. Once I'm in the polyline command and I switch to arc, I can choose which type of arc. Arcs in CAD and other programs are you can draw them a lot of different ways. They have a lot of data input options for how to draw an arc. And so once you go into the arc command, you can choose to draw it by center point. And that's what we need to do. And then we're going to place the center of that arc 3 inches to the right of kind of where this line ended. And then it's going to also match the bottom of it is going to be in line with this bottom edge here where the kind of arc goes tangent with this surface. And that's going to be how we kind of determine how wide this is. And then we're going to draw over 10 more inches and down 2 inches and then back to the previous point and close that object. That's kind of the first step or the first little phase to do here. So I'll kind of follow those steps while I draw this. So it just says I'm going to use polyline command and I'm on the model right side tab or sorry, layer. And I'm going to draw. And what else do I have on? My defaults are on at least. I just need to make sure that my I've got my object snaps on. And I don't think I need any more than these, but if I need to, I can get into them individually. And I need to make sure my object snap tracking is on. And polar tracking, I don't think I need to use too much right now. So I just need to make sure these two are on in my polyline command. That way I can come in here and just kind of highlight this and pull away from it. I'm not clicking, I'm just like targeting, pulling away. And I get that tracking line. That will help me stay orthographically. It says you can turn on ortho mode. I'm just going to draw it without ortho mode on. That would be ortho mode here or F8, right? That's ortho mode on off. I have mine off, but you could do it on because I'm really just drawing vertical and horizontal lines. But I'm just going to target here. It doesn't tell me how far to step away, so I don't care. I'm just going to start over here, any distance. Click there. Here's the start of my polyline. Instead of it doesn't give me a length, it just says I need to be the same height here. So I'm just going to target that and then pull away without clicking until I'm vertical and I get snapped into. Oh, I got to make sure hold on a minute. I got to make sure that's turned on. Sorry. When I turned on and off that will always turn off your polar tracking, which is what I use more than ortho mode. So when I did that, it didn't turn automatically back on. But I want my polar tracking on because it's got increments of like 90s and 180. It's set course, but that's okay for me right here. And so, yes, this is what I want. I'm still all within the command here. But I'm going to target here, and then I want to be in line and 90s, straight up and down, vertical line. So I'm going to say it looks like it's 15 inches tall, this particular part is. So I'm going to click there, and I'm going to go over. It says 2 inches over to the right. So I haven't escaped this command at all. This is just a continuous command. Let's see here, 2. I'm just going to enter 2 as the value, 2 inches over. Enter, and then it said go down until I'm at the point of where that tangent arc, the top of that, where the vertical surface meets the top of that arc, which is this point here. The point that's kind of unnecessary, but it was helpful here. So I want to make sure that I'm 90 and then I'm at that location there. So I got those My green crosshairs going there. I'm going to click there. That's where that arc would start. And I'm still in the polyline command, and so what you have is you always pay attention to your command lines. While I'm in this command where it's just doing lines, I can say, oh, now I want to do an arc. And you can actually literally just come down here and point and click or enter the key for whatever is highlighted here in blue. And so I'll just do that. I'll say A. I'm going to say A, enter. And now it's entered the arc command. And then this is where it gets, these are all the different ways we can draw by an arc. So I'm like layers deep now in command. What, just by following the instructions, what's going to work is to hit center for drawing this, or CE particularly, not just C. If I'm going to type in CE on my keyboard, otherwise I'm going to have, if I just type C, I'm going to have a couple options and it'll make me choose which option. So it's not the end of the world, but I'm going to say, oh, I want to draw this by, because I don't know what the default way it's drawing is here, actually. It seems like it wants to know the endpoint of the arc is what it's telling me on my dynamic input there. So I don't want to do, I want to draw it by a center. So I'm going to type in CE and hit enter. And then it says, okay, specify the center point of arc. Okay, cool. So where that is, it says it's like 3 inches over to the right of that where we stopped that last. It's like a 3 inch radius arc. So I'm going to enter 3 and then enter, and there's my arc. It needs to know like what the endpoint of this arc is though too. And so what it says is just use it's kind of where the tangent and this bottom surface come together, which is this point here. So I can target here and maybe pull this over until that, there we go, 90. Yes, like I like that. Like I'm straight up and down perpendicular and to that level. Yes. And that's where my arc starts. And now I'm still in the arc command though, right? Like it completed that one arc, but I continuously can do arcs. And so I need to go back to a line command here. So I just need to look down here and say, well, this is one that's maybe, oh yeah, just right here. I can go back to line. And so you can click it there or just hit L for line and then back here. And then I think the instructions say 10 inches over from here. So I'm going to enter 10 and stay, yep, like that, hit enter. And then it's 2 inches down again. Yes, I think two, enter. And then I'm back this direction and snapping here, or you can always say C for close. Yeah, C is like to close that. There it is. And then I'll just, I think that's yeah, I'll bring back over our instructions. We've made it to the right side view, did all that. Oh, except for just a couple, like it wants you to do a little detail here. It wants you to add technically, if you looked at the right side of that, like this part is coming at me in this view, and I'm looking at the right side, and that's this. But there's a hole in the upper part. So we can put these in on the hidden layer. So let's see if they've got a hidden layer for us to add those. Let me see what we got. Model hidden here. So I'm gonna go ahead and go to this model hidden layer. They already had this layer in the on the drawing. And I can use line or polyline here. That is one continuous shape because we drew it with a polyline. And what did they do this one? See, this one's been done with a line command. And so in this case, it doesn't matter to me. Maybe I'll just pick line and I'm on the model hidden layer. And what I'm going to do is just target. I can't target that because it's not. I would like to target the quadrant of this, but I don't have the snaps on for that. So I think you can do this while you're in the command. Just come over here and say, oh, I want quadrant. All right. And then it drew me over there. Sorry. Now there's quadrant. Looks like a diamond. So this is going to be what I can track to and then pull over this way until I hit that part. Yes, I want my line to go from here, and then I want it to terminate right perpendicular like this or keeping straight and over where it intersects there. So I get that cross, that intersection point. That was just me right-clicking and hitting enter. Intersection, did I have that on? Yeah, I think that's why that cross shows up of where I'm intersecting that other line because it wasn't a perpendicular snap it was showing there. And I also have that I'm tracking to 90s and 180s. So one more line like that. So sometimes you can just go enter to go back into the command, right? Or you could right click and go in. But yeah, it's going to be another line from here just to put in these hidden details and over to here. I'll say enter. So that is That one should be the finished one of that little next few steps. So we put in our details on the hidden layer. Use the line command to line up the hole in the right view with the hole in the front view. Well, I think I already did that, so okay. And then we got to modify. They're calling this the section view over on this side. And extend the bottom line to, oh yeah, because they don't have a closed shape. So they've left you to have to do an extend, add a 3-inch fillet to the inner corner. Yeah, like this. I don't think it's like that on our drawing right now. So let me just do those two steps. I'm going to come back over here. Um, so the work I'm going to do here is going to be on the section view. Is this on the, it's actually on the model front view. It doesn't ever tell me to push that over, does it? To the section view? I'm kind of surprised. And maybe I didn't read it. It may have said that, and I may have skipped over that. I don't think it ever tells you, like they didn't have those layers. Like a model section view wasn't the layer we had. And so nothing that was previously drawn was on any layer that didn't exist until we put it in there. So I don't think it tells you to push the stuff to that though. Okay. Because it's just me paying attention to if I'm going to go draw on this side view. I know I've put this, sorry, I put our view on the model right side, right? Their existing model, this was on the model front view layer, and it looks like their section view layer too was on the front view layer. And so if I'm just following the instructions, I think it just wants me to extend this to there. There's, you can either just grip it, doesn't tell you how, you could grip it and pull it as long as you don't pull it out of alignment. If this is truly gonna, if this is long enough to intersect with this, I can hit extend. It's the opposite of trim, right? Extend. And yeah, so I can just actually extend that line to that because they've got those points lining up. If they didn't line up or if it was short of that, it wouldn't allow me to extend. If it was longer, it would have allowed me to extend. But anyway, they've got it right on the money. And then it wants me to add a 3-inch fillet to the inside corner. So I'll just use fillet, fillet and chamfer. Fillet is what I want. Fillet radius. I always need to set the radius, otherwise default is like 0 or something, right? So I'm going to say radius, R for radius, enter. 3 is what I want. Yes, 3 inches. And then I can pick my lines, this one and this one, and my fillet shows up. And I could have done multiple, but I just did one. That's all I needed. I always forget that though when I work back in AutoCAD. So there is that. And then what else we got to do? I think that's not everything because now we got to do move the geometry for the section view. Oh, okay, cool. This is where it told me. I thought something was up. Okay. And yeah, I'll just select all that. I'm going to select the entire thing that's on the left side of the front view, and I'm going to put it to the section view layer. And then I'm going to add hatching to the section view as shown in the image below. So, and it wants me to go then move over to the hatch layer and put the ANSI 31 type hatch in these two areas. Because this is a section view, it's kind of like cutting down through this hole. It's got to be in the center. If it wasn't off center here, these ones wouldn't line up if I was section. So I think the section really is coming down through here. And I'm looking at it. And so I wouldn't technically yeah. Yeah, I guess that's fine how it is. That would be a big kind of radius. It's kind of going away from me there. So hatch 30 or ANSI 31 for the hatch pattern. Okay, let's do that. So all I gotta do is come over here, just do a window select. And let's push this to the model section view that we created right here. So now this should be, if I escape that, I've pushed it to the model section view. I see it showing up here. Of course, I'm always keeping an eye on it over here. Model section view. Then it wants me to kick over to the hatch view, or sorry, hatch layer, and add some hatching. And so let's do some hatching. Oh yeah, hatch. What am I hatching? And I'm doing ANSI 31. Yes, which I think is default on this one. It wants me to hatch here and hatch here. Unless they, I might have to check this out and make sure it's connected. Because I should be able to hatch here. Oh, it will. It's enclosed. That's good. What it wants me to do, sorry, I was just wondering. It showed up in these other ones, but I think there's a little note here and a hatch pattern scale to 3. So my hatch pattern scale is it? That's the angle. This is the scale. Yeah, hatch pattern scale. It wants me to go to 3, which should be yeah, a lot more coarse. So break that up a little bit more. Line type scales matter like that. Okay, so and then this one here, I'm going to pick that one too. It's got the same hatch pattern scale 3, so it's a little bit coarse. And I think after that, I just hit enter. I want those 2 areas hatched, and I want them to be on the hatch layer, which is definitely why they're a different color. It's been set up. This should be it. This should be all we need to do. Let's take a look. I think that's it. Yeah, I can't remember how we turned in the other sign. I mean, you could just save this now. I think we turned it in like a DW. This is a DWG file. Yeah, so I could save this as like completed. I'm probably going to save mine. Let's see here, save as, since it's kind of modified from my other one. Uh, and you guys would put your initials on this or something. That's what I would do too. It's like that with my initials at least, something unique. Else I would say save. Then I would have this file that I could then turn in. I don't think it talks anything about that. Nope, it's not worried about the layout, just that. So catch you on the next one.